In today's video, I want to run you guys through some more updates about the PlayStation 5. Sony's Jim Ryan spoke a little bit about it, and also, he mentioned some very interesting topics that I do want to go over. He spoke to games industry in an in-depth interview that I will leave in the description box below. Also, Death Stranding is out today, and right now you can get some free avatars on the PlayStation Store. I'll show you how to do that. And also, to commemorate the release of Death Stranding, Ben Studios has updated Days Gone, their last game that came out in April, with patch 1.6. And they've added new Death Stranding themed bike tanks, decals, and a frame paint. Download the latest patch and check it out for yourself. We'll talk that at the end of this video. Pretty cool to see that as well. And before we get into everything, I just want to remind you guys to make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you are always notified of uploads. And that definitely helps out the channel too, so we always appreciate that. As I mentioned at the top, Sony's Jim Ryan spoke to games industry in depth about the PlayStation 5, and the PlayStation's boss wanted to address some of the points that were raised in an article games industry posted last month. That piece followed the reveal of PlayStation 5 and reflected some of the discontent we'd been hearing about Sony's strategy. There were concerns that the company's decision to not speak too much and avoid the big industry shows was given an edge to its competitors, and then there's the disruption caused by PlayStation's recent restructure. Over the past 2 years, PlayStation has been busy centralizing its operations into one global organization. It seems unnecessary. Restructures are never painless, and when you consider that PlayStation 4 is now a rare member of the 100 million clubs, why change anything? If it isn't fixed, why fix it? According to Ryan, it isn't about fixing anything, but rather getting ready for what's next. Specifically, PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan noted, quote, 100 million is obviously a very notable landmark for any console. That's talking about the 100 million units sold for the PlayStation 4, an incredible number, thus begging question, why are there changes going on in the PlayStation ecosystem? He continued by saying, we've only done it once before, we've enjoyed good times over this current generation, and when I stand back and look at the things we've done quite well, we've done a good job of protecting and enhancing our brand. We've done well with exclusive content that has been a point of difference, but I think the interesting thing this time is the community we've built. These are gamers who are networked and sticky and engaged and passionate about PlayStation to an extent that we haven't seen in previous generations. As we move towards the next generation in 2020, one of our tasks, probably our main task, is to take that community and transition it from the PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 and at a scale and pace that we've never delivered on before. Okay, let me speak on this a little bit, because that metric of the PlayStation 4 selling 100 million units is very important, and that's a very impressive number. However, I take you guys back to the days of the Nintendo Wii. The Nintendo Wii also sold an incredible number of units. However, the issue with the Nintendo Wii was the gamer was never engaged to the Nintendo Wii. If you remember back in 06 or 07 when the Wii released, everybody was picking up a Nintendo Wii. However, a lot of those people were not buying a lot of games. A lot of those people were not invested into the Nintendo Wii ecosystem. That isn't the case for the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 has sold 100 million units, but on top of that, you've got a million of those people subscribed to PlayStation Now. You've got, what, a 36 million number of PlayStation Plus subscribers? These are people that are continually investing resources into PlayStation as a brand, and then you talk about all of the exclusives, games like Marvel Spider-Man selling 3 million in a day, games like God of War selling incredibly well, and you're talking about that over and over again. These games are doing really well. I go back to the Wii because it's a good talking point and a comparison point because it sold really well, but that engagement wasn't really there. Yes, you'd have the odd exclusive here and there, of course, a Super Smash Brawl, a new Zelda game, those would sell really well, but you didn't have the consistency in bringing out games regularly that were selling really, really well. You didn't have 35 million people subscribed to PlayStation Plus as a service. So much more than ever before, people are invested to PlayStation as a brand and as an ecosystem, and that's something really to consider when you talk about the success of the PlayStation 4. Yes, you can go back to that 100 million mark, and that's impressive, but even more so impressive, something that's not really digestible to the consumer and something that you're not going to notice right away, is the fact that, again, those 100 million people, or at least a significant portion of them, are very invested to PlayStation as a brand. He continued by saying, one thing that makes me particularly optimistic that what we're hearing from developers and publishers is the ease in which they are able to get code running on PlayStation 5 is way beyond any experience they've had on any other PlayStation platform. That's really good. You want to make ease of development as accessible as possible, especially after the train wreck that was the PlayStation 3. That was really one of the PlayStation 3's undoings, at least initially. So that's great to hear that the console is easy to develop for. Again, he continued by saying, when we look at this transition and the ambition to do things at a scale and pace that we haven't seen before, we have to look at ourselves and make certain changes, some of which are in the ways we work and some in the way we organize. You pick up on some of this in the article you wrote. I just wanted to clarify or explain some of the things that we are doing. If we are to be successful, we really have to leverage the opportunities that globalization brings. I'm going to give you some examples. One is around the production of PlayStation 5, the definition of the feature set, of the development and the implementation of those features. That process this time around has been massively more streamlined compared to anything we've done in the past. The product planners are now having one conversation instead of 3 different regional conversations where they need to reconcile positions that were often conflicting or contradictory. With an endless process of iteration and consensus, that's not happening anymore. We have one conversation and we get on and do stuff. The second area is our marketing. The first global campaign that we ran was around Spider-Man. It's a great game, obviously, but it also ended up as PlayStation's best-selling first-party game ever. Yes, that is the best-selling PlayStation exclusive ever, and that's quite the feat given the history of PlayStation that Spider-Man could stand out like that. Continued by saying it was one global campaign conceived and executed in an outstanding manner as opposed to 3 different regional campaigns that are often executed very well, but the same thing in essence done 3 times. You see that again with the new global brand campaign. It's slightly different here because it uses a global framework but with regional applications. The European execution showcases FIFA principally, the US execution showcases Fortnite, and the Japanese execution shows Final Fantasy VII. Again, this is one campaign with tailored regional executions, but the campaign is just done once. These are areas where we see having a global approach as being local, necessary perhaps, and certainly beneficial to the gaming community. He goes super in-depth with a lot of other information, and there's a lot to dissect out of this interview. Some of it I already covered with his thoughts on PlayStation Now, it being an integral component to PlayStation going forward. However, it not being the primary facilitator of first-party games like Last of Us Part 2, games like the next God of War, they won't be appearing on PlayStation Now right away, although that can change in the future. PlayStation Now very much is still a work in progress. He speaks on the controller, he speaks on streaming, VR, all of those elements. It's a very interesting interview, and I wanted to just highlight a significant portion of it just to give you guys an idea of Sony going into the future, because there's been a lot of talk on the restructuring, Herman Hulst taking a significant position increase, what Jim Ryan is doing before PlayStation 5 really gets underway, and it seems like from a PlayStation standpoint right now, marketing is an imperative to them that they are very much focused on, and I think at the end of the day, the content is the content. You have to offer quality content, but then the issue becomes getting that content in front of the consumer's face and making sure they know about what you're bringing to the table. That's what Spider-Man did so well. Yes, Spider-Man is a marquee IP, but if you guys remember, the promotional elements to that game were absolutely staggering, and social media trends for Spider-Man in particular were absolutely obscene. Usually, a lot of the times you also can take social media metrics and translate that directly into sales, but it is a good gauge to at least look at and understand how games are going to do prior to them coming out, and it at least gives you another metric point to analyze. And in the case of Spider-Man, specifically speaking on it from a marketing and social media trend standpoint, that game was an astronomical success in that sense. If you look up the YouTube videos of the initial Spider-Man gameplay demos, they have obscene amounts of views. We're talking north of 10-15 million for some of those videos, maybe even more than that. It escapes me exactly how many views they got, but I remember looking at those views and they were ridiculous. And even as well as games like God of War were being received before they came out, Spider-Man from a social media standpoint was a lot stronger. And yeah, just looking at the metrics right now, the initial 2017 E3 gameplay demo got 48 million views, and then the E3 2016 trailer got 20 million views. Just interesting to assess things from a social media standpoint, and I think Sony and every other publisher, developer, console manufacturer are really understanding the marketing tool that is going to be going into the future. Alright, so that's an in-depth interview that you guys can read for yourself in the description box below. I'll leave a link for that. Also, I do want to quickly note that you can get free Death Stranding BB avatars on the PlayStation Network with the code 47XM-C3N8-GTFN. That expires on November 10th, so take advantage of that as soon as possible. You'll get a scared avatar, and you'll also get a thumbs up avatar. They're quite charming. I would get them for yourself yourselves, might as well add them to your library, especially because they will be available for a limited time. And lastly, with the release of the 1.6 patch in Days Gone and the launch of Death Stranding themed bike tanks, decals, and a frame paint have been added to Days Gone, so that's rather cool. You can download the latest patch and check it out for yourself. And by the way, come Black Friday, Best Buy will have Days Gone down to just $20, so that is an exceptional price for that game, so you can check it out if you have yet to. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.